This is the greatest interior that GMC has ever made. I'm sitting here to start because I'm just so shocked at how good everything is. Now, I usually complain about the quality and the design of most GM, Chevy, GMC interiors, but not this time. They've truly stepped it up. This is the single biggest improvement GM has made to a truck in the last 30 years. Now, the 2022 isn't all new, but there's enough changes in the technology and the interior design. There's nothing else like it. And you won't find an easier way to sell your car than with CarGurus. Type a few details, get a cash offer from thousands of dealers nationwide. If you like it, they'll pick your car up and pay you. All right, I know you wanted to see the outside, so here it is, grinning at you. It's a pretty truck. The Sierra was already handsome, and now it's hot. And of course, I'm driving the hottest trim. It's the AT4X, which is brand new for 2022. It takes the regular AT4, brings it up a notch, especially inside. Just like that regular AT4, it's lifted 2 inches, 11.1 inches of total clearance, which is pretty large. You get these very knobby Goodyear Wrangler Duratrac tires, very aggressive look. That matches the front end. You get a brand new, very wide grille. The texture changes depending on which of the 8 trims of the Sierra that you buy. But you'll notice this is the AT4X with those red tow hooks. And in cayenne red tint coat, it looks absolutely fabulous. I'll be getting a lot of attention while driving this vehicle. From every other angle, it's basically the same Sierra. You won't tell from the side or the rear, but from the front, you'll absolutely know. Like before, the Sierra 1500 comes in 3 cab configurations and 3 bed lengths. The Pro is the work truck. That's the base model that gets you every configuration, and it's the only version that comes with the long bed. The SLE and Elevation come with the double cab or the crew cab. The SLT, AT4, and Denali come only in the crew cab. And on the AT4X and Denali models, you only get the short bed. Now, I've already demonstrated this multi-pro tailgate in other Sierra videos, so check that out if you want the full rundown on how it works. But most important with this Sierra are the shocks. Now check them out right here. They are Multimatic spool valve dampers, and what that means is that they give you greater suspension travel than the regular AT4. They're only available on the X model. What does that mean? It means 2 more inches of suspension travel in the front and another inch in the rear. And off-roaders know that every little millimeter matters when you're talking about suspension articulation. It gives you greater off-road control and more poise on the road. Before I drive, we gotta stay right here and check out this all-new cabin. And in case you're wondering how all-new it is, check out my comparison test review of this truck and the Sierra 1500 Limited. So let's start with these seats. They're now comfortable. So GMC has realized that people sit in seats and that being seated requires back support and thigh support and leather that doesn't feel like it came out of the recycling bin. Both front seats move in 16 ways with 5-way massage. They're heated, cooled, adjustable side bolsters. Yes, finally, you can be slimmer and not slide around everywhere. Plus, there's adjustable shoulder lumbar. The materials are very good in the AT4X. Soft leather with textured inserts, double white stitching, double red stitching, white piping, red cross stitching. It feels crafted. You'll find more smooth padded surfaces across the dash, along the console, and all over the doors. It feels like the luxury vehicle it is. This one's $80,000, and while I would like a panoramic moonroof, the roof is covered in micro suede. The only real demerits are some hard plastic right here, lower parts of the dash, and right here on the top front quarters of the doors. But that's pretty minimal, because ordinarily a GM interior is full of that plastic. So it seems to me like they've learned something. GM has also learned that people like details. Details that look and feel unique and expensive, like the shifter, the start-stop button, the climate control dials, and the screens. The Sierra is one of the first GM vehicles with Android Automotive. Now, it comes with Android Auto, that's the phone projection feature that many new cars have, and it's wireless, but this is entirely designed by Google with a GMC skin. The 13.4-inch touchscreen has the familiar interface and menus from past GM vehicles. It all looks very similar, but there's new icons, new color schemes. It looks pretty classy. What's different is this, the Google Maps for the nav, Google Assistant for all the voice functions. So you can say, tune to Sirius XM 35, That's my favorite.
Sure, asking SiriusXM to play SiriusXMU.
So instead of the actual GM interface, they've replaced it entirely. So it's all Google all the time, including Google Keyboard. So with this, you can also do like the slide kind of style like you do on a phone. I don't know why it's spelled trucker, but for example, that's something you could not do before. So any sort of thing you're used to on your Google Android device or just using Google on your computer, it's here. There's other things like access to the Google Play App Store. All these apps are available over the air. Everything gets updated. Now, what also is cool, you get this little third panel on the side here that shows you various other systems here, the clock, the trailer app, audio, and the nav. That's also nice. When you look at the trailering app, it's also improved. For example, you can see the GCW alert. That's kind of interesting. If you exceed the weight rating on the vehicle, it can estimate that, shows the lights, trailer cameras. And speaking of cameras, well, you get a whole lot of views. Front, back, top down, the tires, the ball hitch. What else? The bed cam, very helpful. And if you have a trailer, you can put an accessory camera on your trailer behind this and it'll show you the view just as if you weren't having a trailer. Really helpful when you're on the highway and you need to switch lanes. One thing I wish General Motors would do on all their trucks is give us a bigger rear view mirror. Now this looks nice, it's digital so it shows you a camera feed. I like that, but this one belongs in a Camaro, not a big truck. Because when I'm looking through here, I can barely see any of that back glass, and this is very wide. I want to see more for visibility. Now the other thing I can't show you right now, there's no color bar on here. That means there's no Super Cruise. That's only available on the Denali and the Denali Ultimate. That's a new hands-free driving system, and if you want to watch how it works in full detail, check out my review of the Cadillac Escalade. The AT4X comes exclusively with this 6.2 liter V8. Sounds pretty great. 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque. For a truck, it's pretty good to kick down, mid-range, off the line. Sometimes it clunks a little bit at lower speeds, but it doesn't jerk you around, it's pretty smooth. And now for the first time in a Sierra, there's paddle shifters. So all I have to do is tap the gear shift lever to L, activates them. There's no sport mode on the AT4X, but it's sure easier than using a column shifter with these little tiny buttons. It's so much better, so much more natural to drive this way. You can get 3 other engines. There's a 5.3 liter V8, something over 350 horsepower. I don't really like that one because even though while it's big, it doesn't deliver the performance that you would expect. So if you're going V8, I'd get this 6.2. And if you're not gonna go V8, get the Turbo Diesel 6. That one's only 3 liters, but it gets up to 30 mpg highway on certain configurations. There's a ton of torque and it's really smooth. Really like that one. I drove a Sierra AT4, the pre-facelift. You can check out that review. It's a pretty impressive engine, it really is. There's also a 2.7 liter Turbo 4. It makes a lot of power for a 4-cylinder. Now when you buy an AT4 or the AT4X, you're gonna sacrifice some things. Ride comfort, noise, they're both going downhill. Not by much, but a little bit. These are very knobby tires, so right now, even at 30 miles an hour, they're humming. When they're at 70, they're humming a slightly different tune. You always hear them, there's no way around it. They're Goodyears, they're really good, obviously, but there's no way to completely get rid of that resonant frequency. It's just gonna be the way it is. Despite this truck feeling as wide as this lane, and trucks keep getting bigger and bigger all the time, I feel like I'm in control. I have a lot of control with the steering. The ride quality is actually pretty decent considering that this is an off-road lifted suspension. So I don't really feel too bad driving the AT4X, say versus a Denali or an SLT. So you don't compromise too much there. But I do wish that the steering was better. So GMC hasn't made any notable changes for 2022 with this refresh model. I think they have to because competitors like Ram on the 1500, it feels more like a car. That is where light-duty pickup trucks like this are moving towards. They're becoming less like trucks and more really like a smaller car that's more agile, that's more confident. You wouldn't expect that in such a giant truck, but the technology and the advances in engineering these days are getting a lot better, and I think GMC has fallen a little bit behind there. It's still pretty good. Ford F-150, not that much better than this, but in the next generation, I'm going to expect to see some upgrades. If you're driving a big truck, you're not expecting good handling. But guess what? It's 2022. Things have changed for the better. And even though this is an off-road truck, I can pitch this thing. That's actually a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun. Wow. Sticks a lot better than you might think. And the brakes also feel pretty confident as well. Not much dive motion either with the suspension. Considering this is a lift, off-road geometry, all of that, feels really composed on the road. Like any truck, towing and payload varies by the trim, the exact bed, the cab, all that. So on this AT4X, it's four-wheel drive with the crew cab. You get 8,900 pounds of towing, 1,420 pounds of payload. That's on the lower side, because other Sierra models will go well past a ton in the bed. That's also good. You can get past 13,000 pounds on certain Sierra models, so for towing. I think that's pretty good. It all depends on what you're doing with the truck. Fuel economy hasn't changed either. It's 14 city and 18 highway for this 6.2 liter V8, but it does get up to 30 mpg highway if you choose the diesel. That's pretty good. The 2022 GMC Sierra 1500 starts at $35,400 and comes in 8 trims. That's 2 more trims than the previous Sierra, which includes the Denali Ultimate for more than 80 grand and the AT4X I'm driving at $78,840 with destination. That's ridiculous money, but the Ford F-150 and the Ram 1500 can cost just as much. With such major upgrades to the interior and the technology, I can finally recommend a GMC Sierra. I would not have said that years before. General Motors should have been doing this the whole time, but they're awake now, and they're actually knowing and recognizing what truck buyers really want, especially from a high-end truck like this. So what do you think? More truck reviews, car reviews? We got it all. CarGurus.com, CarGurus on YouTube, and subscribe. We're here for you every week, all month, all year. See you next time.